thought about turning into a giant bug one day? No? Franz Kafka sure did with his story The Metamorphosis, where the main guy, Gregor Samsa, wakes up as an insect. But hang on. What if I told you this bug tale is more than just skin deep? It's a mind-bending and twisting tale in ways that would make even Carl Jung take a double take. Jung was a man fascinated by what tickles the brain while we sleep, what ancient tales say about us, and the secret rooms inside our minds that he basically turned our understanding of ourselves on its head. Carl Jung wasn't just another guy with a notepad and a penchant for asking, "And how does that make you feel?" Oh no, he was on a mission to dig up the hidden jewels in our psyche. He introduced the world to the concept of the alchemical transformation. And let me clarify before you think we're turning lead into gold here. Jung's idea of transformation was all about the mind, like going through a personal renovation from the attic down to the basement of our being. He believed everyone has this inner journey. And no, it's not the kind of journey with plane tickets and packed bags. It's about winding through our inner landscapes, confronting the dragons, or our fears, and discovering our untapped potentials. And this mental journey wasn't just for kicks. Jung believed it was central to wholeness. In Jung's playbook, becoming whole wasn't about adding something new to the mix. It was about rediscovering and accepting the full range of characters dancing in our subconscious. Every quirk, every shadow, every bit of light. It's like realizing you're not just the hero in your own story, but also sometimes the villain, the sidekick, the mentor, and the comic relief all rolled into one. So when we talk about alchemical transformation, think of it as the ultimate makeover show, but for your psyche. And the prize? A more complete, balanced version of you, ready to take on the world, or at least understand why you dream about showing up to work in your underwear. So let's see how writers like Kafka, and trust me, we're circling back to that and more in-depth soon, have been sneakily using Carl Jung's brainy insights to mess with our heads. Imagine this. Authors as puppet masters, pulling the strings of their characters' minds, making them dance to the tune of deep psychological theories. It's like they're using Jung's playbook to create characters that feel so real that you'd swear they could walk right out of the pages. And these literary maestros take us on a wild ride through the characters' inner worlds, flipping switches we didn't even know existed. They craft stories where the heroes and villains don't just do things for the heck of it. No, there's a method to their madness, rooted in the web of human psychology. It's all about exploring the why behind the action, the fear behind the bravery, and the pain behind the power. For instance, when a character suddenly does a 180, turning from Dr. Jekyll into Mr. Hyde, it's not just for shock value. The authors are showing us the internal conflict, the tug of war between different aspects of the psyche that Jung was about. They're digging into the shadowy part of the mind that we all have, but prefer to keep tucked away, only for it to pop out when we least expect it. And transformation? It's not always about getting bitten by a radioactive spider and waking up with abs and superpowers, although that might be nice. Sometimes it's the subtle shifts, the gradual awakening to one's depth, potential, and, yes, darkness. It's about characters facing their metaphorical monsters and coming out changed, not necessarily with a shiny new superhero suit, but with a deeper understanding of themselves. And this dance with the unconscious, the exploration of dreams and symbols, it's like authors are using Jung's map to steer the rugged terrain of the human soul. They invite us, the readers, to look beyond the surface, to question not just the actions of the characters, but the hidden motivations, fears, and desires driving them. And by weaving these psychological threads into their tales, authors offer us a mirror, a chance to see aspects of ourselves reflected in the characters. It's a reminder that, just like in Jung's theories, there's more to us than meets the eye. A whole world of inner conflict, transformation, and growth waiting to be explored. So, here we are, about to finally chat about Franz Kafka, the brain behind the Metamorphosis. Kafka wasn't your everyday storyteller. No, he had this knack for creating stories that cling to your brain long after you've finished reading, like that song you can't shake off. His tales, a blend of the bizarre with a dash of existential dread, making you question life, identity, and the human condition. Now, let's zoom in on the Metamorphosis, Kafka's piece de résistance. Picture this. Gregor Samsa, an ordinary guy with a not-so-glamorous job, wakes up one morning to find he's not himself anymore. And by that, I mean he's literally not human. He's turned into a giant bug. Imagine the shock, the horror, and the awkwardness of explaining that to your boss. This isn't just a bad dream that Gregor can shake off. It's his new reality. His transformation flips his world upside down, tossing him and his family into chaos that's more than just dealing with an unusual pest problem. It's about facing rejection, struggling with identity, and dealing with a load of emotional turmoil. Kafka uses Gregor's drastic change to poke at some pretty heavy themes. And while becoming an insect is pretty horrific, the story's really about what such a transformation reveals about the people around Gregor, and by extension, society itself. How do they react to someone who has suddenly become the ultimate outsider? With fear, disgust, and a whole lot of misunderstanding. Gregor's Metamorphosis sheds light on the fragile nature of human relationships and the thin line between normalcy and the utterly unexpected. In Kafka's world, Gregor's story is a magnifying glass on the human soul, showing us how quickly love can turn to loathing, how isolation can seep into our bones, and how sometimes the most significant changes come from within, challenging us to see if we can still recognize ourselves when everything we took for granted is stripped away. Gregor Samsa, now navigating life as a bug, becomes a live case study for Carl Jung's theories without even knowing it. This transformation isn't just about the physical horror of waking up with an exoskeleton, it explores the depths of personal and psychological upheaval. Through this peculiar metamorphosis, Kafka taps into the essence of what Jung suggested we all need to do: face the hidden aspects of ourselves. Gregor's new bug life forces him into an unavoidable confrontation with everything he's been avoiding, not just about his work or family responsibilities, but about his very identity. Kafka uses this extreme physical change as a vivid illustration of the internal chaos that comes from ignoring the complex parts of our psyche. Gregor's struggle reflects a universal human experience. The transformation brings to light the impact of personal change on those around us, and when confronted with the physical manifestation of estrangement and personal crisis, Gregor's family must process their own emotional landscapes in response. And this dynamic showcases Jung's belief in the interconnectedness of personal transformation and social interaction. The essence of Gregor's story transcends the bizarre and ventures into the philosophical, illustrating that self-discovery involves confronting and integrating the aspects of ourselves we'd rather not face. And through the metaphor of Gregor's insect form, Kafka creatively explores the themes of isolation, identity, and the quest for understanding one's place in the world. In this narrative, Kafka doesn't just spin a tale of transformation, he explores the ripple effects of change. Gregor's Metamorphosis catalyzes a deeper understanding of the self and the complexities of human relationships, and by embracing the full spectrum of our identities, including the parts we fear or dislike, we can approach a more authentic and comprehensive understanding of ourselves and our roles in the lives of others. Through Gregor's extraordinary circumstances, Kafka and Jung converge on a key point. True insight and growth stem from embracing the entirety of our being, challenges and all. And with that in mind, the story becomes an exploration of the journey towards self-acceptance and the impact of personal evolution in our own worldview. In moments where Gregor confronts the alienation from his family and the discord with his transformed body, we're drawn into a story of self-discovery and acceptance. These scenes reflect the internal turmoil that comes from recognizing and reconciling with the aspects of ourselves that don't align with our or society's expectations. Kafka illustrates this struggle through Gregor's physical transformation, a stark symbol of our internal conflicts. For instance, Kafka details his confusion and attempts to normalize the situation, saying he thought back on his family with deep emotion and love. His conviction that he would have to disappear was, if possible, even firmer than his sister's. Despite his crisis, Gregor's dedication to his family exemplifies the human capacity for self-sacrifice and the difficulty of defining personal identity within family dynamics. Furthermore, Gregor's rejection from his family, particularly in scenes where his sister, Greta, who initially cares for him, eventually advocates for his removal, highlights the painful process of estrangement and the quest for belonging. Greta's shift from caregiver to antagonist reflects a heartbreaking journey from compassion to alienation, underscoring Kafka's message about the fragility of human connections in the face of the unfamiliar. Jung's concept of confronting the shadow self vividly embodies Gregor's ordeal. According to Jung, the shadow self represents the parts of our psyche we deny or ignore, and Gregor's insect body becomes the ultimate representation of the shadow, forcing him to face how his family, and by extension, all of society, they reject the parts of ourselves deemed unacceptable or monstrous. The culmination of Gregor's saga, where he succumbs to his isolation and physical decline, is Kafka channeling Jung's idea that true understanding and acceptance of oneself is fraught with challenges. Gregor's death, marked by a mix of relief and tragedy from his family, symbolizes that journey of self-acceptance and the impact of transformation on personal relationships. In short, the Metamorphosis isn't just the story of a guy turning into a bug. It's a deep dive, yeah, I said it, into the tumultuous journey of self-discovery, echoing Jung's belief in the power of confronting and embracing our inner chaos to emerge transformed. If this chat sparked your curiosity, why not leap into more stories that twist and turn through the human psyche? There's a whole world of literature out there waiting to mess with your mind. In the best way possible, of course. In this next video, we'll tromp through another literary classic, and who knows what other psychological wonders we'll discover.